Welcome to Creators Cafe. I'm your host, Jessica Payne. I'm a performer, performance coach, and multi-hyphenate creator. I'm going to be bringing you conversations with some of my favorite creators where we talk about the sublime and the specifics of the creative journey. So grab a drink, get cozy. Let's go. My guest, Olivia Stambouliah, is an actor, producer, director, and educator. You may know her from AMC's The Walking Dead, or probably from Michael Bay's blockbuster movie Ambulance, where she closed down LA and chased Jake Gyllenhaal from a helicopter. But she got her on-screen start back in Australia, where she's from, where she was in the movie The Silence and then starred as a core ensemble member in an SNL-style show, Ben Elton's Live from Planet Earth. Olivia's played everything from a cavewoman to Medea, from Amy Winehouse to an arm wrestling champion. Her directing is vibrant and crisp. Her students rave about her. Olivia is smart and funny and a badass, and even has the black belt to back it up. Please enjoy my conversation with the fabulous Olivia Stambouliah. Welcome to Creators Cafe. Cheers.
Thank you. Cheers.
So this is my guest. Welcome, Olivia Stambouliah. My dear friend, it's so great to have you.
I kind of just want to sit and gasbag about everything.
I know. Yeah, we've been chatting for a while, and I was like, we have to actually press play, press record. It'll be good. So it's so great to see you.
Thank you for having me.
What are you drinking today?
I'm drinking a latte with oat milk.
From our friends at Dialogue.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I've got an iced latte today.
Oh, iced. I went hot. I like hot coffee.
It's like the shoulder season here in LA too, so it's like just warm enough that I can still get away with iced and I'm not freezing.
Oh no, I get it. I only just started having iced coffee, taking it to work because it would last kind of
I think that's why I like it, because it lasts a little longer for me.
I'm a bit of a greedy guts with hot coffee.
I've never heard that before, and I love it. Greedy guts.
Love it.
Adorable. Okay, so how do you think of yourself as a creator? What are some of the titles that you think of for yourself?
I would say first and foremost actor, because that's what I've studied intentionally. And from that, I would definitely say producer, because I've produced my own work, both on stage and screen. And now director, which has been wonderful. That's an arm that I feel really thankful that I've grown, and educator for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I can attest to having shared students with you how much they ravenously adore you and get so much out of your work in education.
So humbling and so mind-blowing too, because I never ever saw myself in the education space.
So we're going to definitely talk about you as an actor a lot. So let's actually swing to director first then, because what I love about your directing style is how intense and passionate and focused you get people that I know that is not their home base. They're good actors, but they don't have that kind of turbo mode, that the stakes are high, they're focused, they are fast, they're sharp. How do you get that? Because it's great.
Thank you, Jess. I really appreciate that. I probably get that because I got a whooping when I was in Australia working on a very particular production of Arms and the Man.
Okay.
At the George Bernard Shaw, and the director was his name's Richard Cottrell, and he'd worked a lot in England and with very accomplished classical artists, and he was very old school, and whilst it was a baptism of fire in some way, because it was very challenging, the way he looked at performance, text, timing, breath. I've just taken all of that and run with it, because it really did change the way I looked at performing. And yeah, I think it really is about timing, because we're telling a story.
Yeah.
And so it's how you do that, and also to highlight each individual performer's strengths.
Yeah.
Is important.
Yeah, and you're so good at that. And I really appreciate it. I come from doing musicals background and being a trained musician, and I find that it's rare to see someone who's doing straight text that is not in a musical that has such precision, clarity, speed, and rhythm. So I just love that you bring that into classical work that I've seen, but also just contemporary work. It's really cool.
Oh, that's so good to hear. I love knowing that my love of timing, I think with a martial arts background, and also I love music as well.
Yeah.
I
You have such a
learn
good
by ear.
voice.
Oh, thank you.
Well, I don't forget what I heard. Jolene?
I do love that song.
Oh, you're so good. Oh, it's so dark and yummy. It's
Oh,
great.
thank you. I will definitely take that to bed. I appreciate that very much. Yeah, I'm not classically trained at all in singing, but I just love it. So I think music, I've always, my mom plays the piano, but I everything was by ear. So I think the rhythm's inside me, and I think I try to elicit that in a performance and from people, not just myself. I'm hard on myself as well, but I think it's important because you want to be, I always say you want to be ahead of the audience.
Yes.
Constantly.
And I'm never bored, which I really appreciate. As someone who listens to podcasts at 2x and videos at 2x, I love going to a performance of yours because it feels like the speed of my brain and the speed of life as opposed to this slow meandering take. So I appreciate it.
Whew, tick.
So you mentioned kickboxing. Anything fun there? Any fun stories? So that's something you started as a child?
Yeah, I did. It actually came out of film. I went to the movies with my older sister and my parents to watch The Karate Kid. And that evening, I said, I want to do that. And so that week I was enrolled in the little karate school down the road. And I did that 3 times a week and fell in love with it. Worked right up to black belt and then moved into kickboxing. And I loved it. But I was extremely precious about getting hit. And I actually didn't like hitting people at all.
Yeah.
I just love the skill of it. And it's very akin to acting. You have to listen.
Yeah.
It's all about listening and responding.
Yeah.
It's not being prepared. So when you sort of partner up and you're sparring, it's a scene.
Yeah. And there's a dance element
to it.
to it.
And I love it.
Yeah.
I really love it. I miss it here in LA, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done a little kickboxing and I love it. It's so fun.
It's great.
And a lot of stage combat and things like that. So
Yeah, same.
It's fun how that all translates to that movement on stage being crisp and clear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's something I'm really passionate about is being inside your body.
Yeah, absolutely. Something I've loved kind of doing my research on you, which is so fun, has been seeing the variety of roles that you excel in. Because a lot of people will find their lane and be really good at one style. And, getting to watch you in a Michael Bay thriller ambulance and then going to classical works and then doing sketch comedy in Australia and then doing Walking Dead. Just the variety and the scope of what you're excellent at is so exciting to me because it feels very fresh every time. But I love that you clearly have a physicality and choices for yourself as an actor for all of those characters. One of them that stands out is the Amy Winehouse character that you created. Can you tell us kind of how that came about? And I think your interpretation of her is so fun, and it's obviously not a direct mimic, but you've captured something really sweet about her essence too. So yeah, can you tell us about that?
I sure can, because it was one job that I absolutely adored. I remember auditioning for Ben Elton's sketch comedy series that was going to be happening in Australia, live sketch comedy. So like SNL here. And I went along to the audition, and we were told or asked to prepare up to 5 minutes of characters we could do. So I put the characters together, I wrote it and performed it. And I remember being in the boardroom at Channel 9 and he was there, Ben Elton, and the rest of the producers. And I started and then I finished, and Van Elton stood up and he goes, "That's the best fucking live show reel I've ever fucking seen in my life."
Yes!
And I was so touched and red-faced and sweaty, etc. And he said, now, do you know Amy Winehouse? And I said, I think so. I really didn't. I knew of her, but I didn't know much. And he goes, all right, just go and research her. So I did. And then I didn't hear for 3 months, Jess, and then I get the role. I get the job.
What?
So I was cast as one of the core cast in the sketch series, and then I was cast as Amy.
Wow.
And so he said he'd written Young Ones and Blackadder and like those series in Britain, which were really iconic. And he said, I really want you to try and get that tone down. But in all my research, Jess, I found all of this beautiful footage prior to her really having a breakout success. And she was just this sweet, loving, innocent young girl who was obsessed with her grandma, which was me. So I just related to that. And I kept seeing that innocence. And I really wanted to keep bringing the sweetness. So in rehearsals, he kept saying, no, too sweet, like keep bringing, I want this very particular energy. And so it was really hard for me. It was challenging and I was very nervous. But we had the first show and we went live at 9 p.m. And right at the end, he came out and he goes, Livs, we got it right. Half of you, half of me. And it worked. And I was like, great. Because something in me said to just keep a little bit of that, because for me it was just, I don't know, it was that thread as an artist that I think I needed to hold on to create a character like that, as iconic as her. And how do you believably bring that to life? So that was the thing that I held on to.
And so you found that way to like take the direction but also keep true to the core of what you knew was there. Oh, I love it. I got chills.
She was so fun. So fun to play. And I was really sad that we got axed after 3 episodes. I think Australia has a difficult time with sketch comedy. I don't think we had a really successful few decades with it in the 80s and 90s, and then we kind of fell off that wagon. And I think it was just not our time. And then she passed away a few months later, which was really sad. But I kind of sort of got to fall in love with her for, 6 months, which was really, really amazing. And I think she's an incredible artist that will absolutely live on. But a character that I was able to sort of show a skill that I have that not every actor does, which is being able to inhabit a character and satirize them.
Absolutely. That was really great. I'm just thinking of your character creation process. Some of the things I've seen are the cave woman who you're so in your body and really, okay, I'm gonna say across a lot of your work, something that I appreciate is how aggressively sexual you are. Because it's something that's not celebrated for women, and it's something that you always have this smirk and twinkle in your eye and power in your body, and there's just like that is just turned on as part of your work no matter what you're working on. And I think it's so powerful and effective, and it makes me like so excited to watch your work all the time. And I saw it as a cave woman, and as as the just all of the characters that I'm seeing, there's some element that comes out there. Does that bring anything up for you? Or?
I tell little or teenage Olivia that would be a statement synonymous with her name, and she would never have thought that, I can tell you.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess it's not something I consciously think about at all.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting for me to hear.
I think it's more that I find when my work is good, I have that element, and whenever it's not, I've turned it off to be safe. And so I think when I see your work, it feels so free and powerful and grounded and coming from this raw kind of place. And I really like that.
I'd certainly feel I say to students, and I wouldn't have articulated it if I wasn't a teacher right now, but I call it spirit.
Yeah.
It's just when you're in that zone
Yeah.
of creativity where you're not thinking, you're just being.
Yeah.
That must be it. That must
Yeah. I had
where
a
it
stage
comes from.
combat teacher that was a mentor that called it za, that just kind of za energy. And I think probably the mix of kickboxing and loving music and just all of that all combined, bringing that fully into your art is coming out that way. So
Oh.
I think that's, along with your technique, that's what makes you so powerful to watch as an actor for me. So I really
Thanks,
appreciate
Jess. And I guess not everybody's going to love that. No one can. I guess not everybody can love you or like you in that way, but I very much appreciate that that it's palatable to you and you're drawn to it.
Yeah.
You know.
What is Dita von Teese says? You might be this is a misquote, but you might be the juiciest peach in the world, but not everybody's gonna love peaches.
Yeah. Yes.
So.
Touche. That's
Yeah.
actually very true.
So, in your wide variety of all of these different kinds of roles, what is something that you love to bring to your process when you're creating a role as an actor? You can use a role as an example, or just like when you start to take something on, how do you like to go about it?
I very much like to research. And in part of my research is just dreaming up. I really like to find out facts and things that will allow me to dream with purpose, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, if I'm going for a walk or if I'm training or if I'm cooking or if I'm working, it's still marinating within me. The work doesn't sort of just happen at the table with your highlighter and pencil. It sort of, yeah, I really do use my imagination a lot.
Yeah.
And of course, through acting training, if things align with experiences or things that resonate within you, they're just there. They're easy. You don't think about it. But research, very much so. So I understand the world. So it allows me to be free. And I'm a very emotional person.
Yeah.
So I do go to the emotions. I know a lot of directors have said to me, step away from the emotion. Don't lean on the emotion. And you know what? Now as a director, I really understand that. I didn't back then. I was like, oh, but I feel it. What do you mean? Isn't feeling it really important?
Yeah. Okay.
But now stepping on the other side, I actually understand that sometimes you don't need that. Just being there and using the story and the words is enough.
Yeah.
And the audience can feel it all.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm a very emotional person.
I think it's interesting because, I mean, as an acting teacher, one thing that we lean on a lot is don't play the emotion, play the action verb of like,
Yes.
I'm threatening you, I'm seducing you, I'm whatever. But sometimes that gets so heady that it's disconnected from the
Yeah.
emotion. And
Yeah.
so we lose that. So it's interesting to hear that you're kind of coming from the other side and finding your way to the middle that way.
Yeah, and really realizing that, really understanding. I mean, you kind of hear it when you're training, but really, as you get older, and if you're lucky enough to keep working in something, then it just gets sharper and sharper. And I'm really understanding that an emotion is a result of an action, is a result of doing something.
You're not aiming for the emotion.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're just letting it
Exactly.
bubble as it will.
As it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I very much like to approach characters with a full life and a different and an internal world. Yeah.
Nice. So, what is a project that you've worked on in the past that was just delightful or surprising or made you kind of step up or step into yourself in a new way?
That is such a great question. I would actually say I did a short film that was part of the Australian Film, Television and Radio School's the director's graduate program. And the director was Paolo Morabito. And the film was called My Sister and I. And I think I was a few years out from graduate. I had finished drama school and I'd been out working. And it was the first lead. I'd popped up in, guest roles right around and done quite a bit of stage, playing Medea and, a bunch of other things, which was amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing. I'd love to revisit her, actually.
Oh, yeah.
So this role, it was a lead. And unbeknownst to me, Jane Campion was on that project. And I found out that she was watching my auditions and said to Paola, "She's your Sam. She can tell a story without words." And that film and that experience changed me as an artist. Changed me as a person, but changed me as an artist. I'll never forget it because I was allowed to, I didn't have to be funny. I didn't have to be more than I was, and I was allowed to bring that sensitivity and sensibility to the character, to the screen. And it was a character exploring sexuality in a strict sort of Italian household, and being an older sibling, and the younger sibling is sort of, potentially going to find themselves or lose their virginity before her, and how do you sit with those things as a young person. But as an artist, it really changed me, and I went, okay, so I started to take myself, without sounding like an idiot, a little bit more seriously, in the sense that I went, oh, people will see that I'm not just funny. If that makes sense.
Yeah, of course. Oh, that's beautiful. And what a way to kind of trust yourself, having someone that's such an icon trusting you.
Oh, it was, I'll never...
Did you find that out before or after?
After. We were at the wrap.
And so you kind of had that experience for yourself and then had that as the cherry on top.
Yes, and I was so blown away. And when I met Jane and she sort of spoke to me, and we were at the big screening, etc., I was truly blown away. And the praise and the lovely things she'd said to me, because I'd always been a fan of her work, and just to know that she really backed up my style and thought that my style was worthy, or I felt worthy. We're always searching for that, but it just was a really beautiful recognition for me as an artist, and as an artist who has never been cookie cutter, has never been in the lane of extremely commercial or marketable in that way. Traditionally, it was a very important moment for me.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Because I think that's something that so many of us as artists have to deal with, is when we don't fit the type, or when we're not traditionally, commercially easy. Mm-hmm. What has helped you there to own yourself? Because I think of you as someone who is so confident and fully alive and fully themselves that, that inspires me. You inspire me. And so, how did you get there?
Honestly, it's something inside me that just will not take no for an answer.
Fuck yeah. I love that.
I remember being in high school, and, one of the teachers said, "You'll never play a lead." Okay. And then, "You need to change your last name. Stambouliah is too ethnic, and it's too long, and it's too difficult." Mm-hmm. So, I wrestled with these things, but something inside me just kept saying, "I'll show you. No way." So I don't know if it was defiance or that thing that I was talking about before, spirit. I think it just is. It's something that I genuinely feel I'm born to do this time around.
Yeah.
And I can't not do it. It's
Yeah.
really, really hard. It's very hard living a life where you're not. And I moved here. I moved here in 2017. I'd applied for my green card. It took like 3.5 years to come through. I was doing work in Australia, and it came through, and then I had to move. So my green card came through, and I went, okay, I'm moving. So April of 2017, I moved to Los Angeles, and I got here, and I was, expecting to have some meetings with people, to have representation, and I was really disheartened to hear my Australian management at the time, who knew I was moving for years, said, "You're too old for Hollywood, Olivia, come home, I can't get any meetings." Wow. And I was 35 at the time, and I was devastated.
Yeah.
But was I going home? No, I just packed up my whole life and moved here.
Yeah.
So I started again, ground zero.
Yeah.
Ground zero. And it really changed me. Yet again, another metamorphosis. I had to it humbled me. It was for the first time I was back to earning $10.50 an hour at the ArcLight as an usher. And nannying and, working as a hiking tour guide instructor to the Hollywood sign. So just doing all of these things that I really did take for granted, the body of work that I had created in Australia. I might have gone maybe a few months without work as an actor. And if that was the case, then I created it.
Yeah.
I had a theatre company. I'd produce, I'd work, always working.
Yeah.
I would do fight choreography because I was stage combat. So there was always something creative. But when I moved here, it was gone. So I had to start again. And so, cutting to Ambulance, getting the Michael Bay film, and shooting that during the pandemic, and then walking that red carpet 4 days before my 40th birthday. Jess, it was such a personal win. It was such a personal win.
That's incredible.
Like I'd broken up with my girlfriend. All my family and best friends were not in town, so I was by myself, having the biggest high and biggest win of my career thus far, walking that carpet, and having my new agent at the time as my date. She's amazing, Abby Bluestone. I adore her, and she was just letting me know all the different the protocols, and I was looking out there into this sea of cameras and just going, holy shit. I remember being told at 35 I was too old. What if I went home?
What if you went home? Oh.
So it was such a personal moment for me.
Yeah.
And, it felt really great. And then I went home and I had to ask the driver to unzip me because I couldn't get out of my dress at 3 a.m. by myself in my studio. So that was hilarious. I definitely gave him a big tip. But yeah, like that's Hollywood for you,
Yes.
right? That's the industry.
Oh, that's incredible. Okay, so something I want to talk about is your experience on Ambulance with Michael Bay. And I just told you this, but I have to share this story that I had talked to you about a year ago when we were still working together. And you were really sweet in asking about my mom, who wasn't doing great. And the very next day I got a call that she was dying in the hospital. And so I was on the plane flying to her deathbed, where I was able to say goodbye, and I'm so grateful for. But I'm on the plane in this kind of surreal moment of my life, and I'm just alone in the air, flying towards Pennsylvania. And the person in the row in front of me turned on Ambulance. And I got to see a dear friend. So I'm bawling my eyes out.
Oh, Jess.
Sitting there watching you, who had just filmed this incredible blockbuster, who had just been so sweet to me the day before, and just having a friend in that moment was something I will treasure forever. And who knew, just the ways that things work out. It was such an incredible moment and still kind of funny.
It is, but it's because I was really thinking about you.
Oh.
I was so, with you. I genuinely was.
Yeah.
So that's how that all works.
I believe it.
It's crazy because I can't imagine what you were going through, and
Yeah.
I dread the day that I will, as
Yeah.
we all will.
Yeah.
So there you go. I popped up in a Michael Bloody Bay film.
And who knew that is the thing that would bring me comfort in my darkest hour?
Oh my God! You know what? I'm actually going to text him that because
Please do.
he would love that. Love that.
And now having gotten to see the movie with the sound on when it wasn't the worst day of my life, you're fantastic.
Thank you.
And what I love so much is the just dry wit sarcasm of your character is so great. How did you develop that character? Where did that come from? And how did this whole thing happen? Because that's not normal. People don't just book a lead in a Michael Bay film a couple years after they moved to LA. This doesn't happen. What did you do?
Well, it wasn't a lead, it was a support, but I'll take that. I'll take it. I'll take it, Jess.
You're on screen a lot, I can tell you.
You know what? I never dreamed that I would be in a Michael Bay film. I can tell you that much. So it certainly was a pinch me moment.
Yeah.
When I got the phone call. So I was still auditioning during 2020, during lockdown. I was doing self-tapes. That's when it all really sort of shifted. And I remember having 4 that week. And the ambulance was one of them. So I had, I think, 4 or 6 scenes to prepare, and I had my housemate at the time read with me, and I just looked at the character, and it's a role being somebody in the kind of police force, I would say. I'd done quite a bit of that in Australia, but it was different, obviously, living here, and it was very pointed, being LAPD, especially at the time, at the height of BLM. So I was a little nervous.
Yeah.
But I just looked at the character, and I just gave my take on it. And I didn't hear for 3 months yet again. It's like the magic number.
Yeah.
And here I was nannying, teaching little kids school. So we were packing up at 3:00, ring the bell in their house. With masks on, the whole COVID thing. That's how I was making some money. And my manager called, and they were on speaker, and they said, "You're on speaker, Liv. We just want to let you know you're Michael Bay's #1 choice for Detective Lieutenant Zager." I said, "What?" And I just burst into tears. And Hillary, the poor mother, she thought something had gone wrong, and I hung up the phone, and she's an actress as well. So when I said, "Oh my God, I just got cast in a Michael Bay film," she jumped up, and we kind of cried and jumped. And I drove home in an absolute daze, and called my parents and just went, "Oh my God," and my family, and went, holy moly, I just booked a Michael Bay film. What? And then all the phone calls from work and the whole protocol of how to deal with, because this was pre vaccines. It was a whole thing. That all happened. So how did I prepare for her? I just gave her my I don't know. I just gave what I thought would fit that kind of human, being in such a boys' club.
Yeah.
I thought, well, she's not a wallflower. She's not a pushover.
Yeah.
I think to have a position as a mobile command unit, I did a lot of research into what the hell that was.
Right.
Somebody that was tech, and to understand that world and be the eyes and ears of an operation, you have to be pretty smart and switched on. So I just, gave that. But I must say, Michael Bay really pushed, the dry sarcasm too. Like, he loved it, and he'd push me even more. He'd go, "No, more and more." So that was cool.
That's so cool. What was the process of filming like?
Well, his nickname's Bayhem.
I didn't. I mean, it makes complete sense. I love it.
So he got that for a reason. And actually, Red made his own camera, the Komodo, and he calls it the Bayhem. Look, he is he's a remarkable filmmaker.
Yeah.
He knows what he wants. He sees shots. He sees things. He works on the fly. What he does, what I learned, is you can't say to yourself as an actor when you're hired by Michael Bay, what do I do? He's hired you because he sees that you're an artist that says, here I am.
This is what I do.
This is what I do.
Yeah.
So that became very clear to me very quickly.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing you can hold on to in amongst the mayhem, in amongst the chaos
Yes.
of it was a really challenging shoot in 38 days. It was very, very hard with COVID. So many things we had to change.
Yeah.
It was crazy. But, at the same time, just so thrilling to be on set with these incredible artists behind camera and on screen. Everybody was amazing. And I just still sometimes can't believe it and go, what? I always saw myself in the more Jane Campion sort of, really sensitive, almost French film style work. So to have found a nice little place in a blockbuster, I kind of went, yeah, this is nice. This feels good.
That's so fun. In a helicopter?
In a helicopter, which I threw up in, by the way.
I was so sad that that didn't make it in.
Me too.
I heard you talking about that in another interview. I was like, oh, that would. I mean, I'm actually grateful because I'm a sympathetic puker, so I wouldn't. I have no desire to see that in a movie. But just
mortified.
I can't imagine just your experience of like that's a day of work in the life. Is I'm gonna just go in a helicopter for Michael Bay.
It was the best. I remember getting the phone call prior to the shoot when they were doing pre-prep, and they just said, "Hey, pre-production, sorry," and they said, "Michael Bay wants to know if you want to go up in a helicopter." And I said, "Yeah, of course I do. Are you crazy?" So that was so every day he'd say to me, "You want to go in a helicopter?" Every day. And it literally just got pushed and pushed and pushed till it was the last day on a micro shoot that we did.
Wow.
Yeah, because we were pretty much staying really, COVID free, etc.
Right.
Until right at the end we got a little plagued, and so we had to shift things around. And there was just a tiny micro shoot with some of us. That was the last thing to shoot. It was pretty amazing. That I'd never been to that. Burbank Airport either, and going at the private jet area, and Fred being the most incredible pilot. Like I did not realize the caliber of pilot he is.
Yeah,
he's super famous and does every single stunt flying around the world. He's amazing, and he cleaned up my vomit.
Thank you, Fred.
At the premiere, I looked at him and I just said, "I'm so sorry." And he's French. He was laughing. He's like, "Don't worry about it."
I bet it wasn't the first or the last time.
Yeah,
either.
it wasn't, but he was very kind. I just felt very embarrassed. Very embarrassed.
That's so funny. So another fun shoot that I imagine it was fun was The Walking Dead, which you got to do with our friend Eve.
Yes.
Eve Gordon.
I did. It was the first job I booked.
Yes. How did that happen and what was it like?
It was amazing. I basically was working my 3 jobs. I was at a kids' karate school. I was on the reception desk in Beverly Hills, and I had this audition to go in for The Walking Dead. And I prepared it. I walked in, did the audition, and 2 days later got a phone call and said, you're flying to Atlanta, Georgia. Wow. And they had the town car pick me up at 4:30 a.m. and take me. I was so relieved because, Jess, I was so burnt out. It was 2 years and 2 months to the day that I hadn't worked as an actor. I'd landed and I just hadn't worked at all. And so I was literally, talk about it, I was folding kids' karate t-shirts and kind of talking to my grandma's spirit in my head and just going, is this what I moved here for? And I was really emotional. And then that audition came along and I booked it. It was the best 3 weeks of my life. Like I was on cloud nine. You could not take the smile off my face. I was just so happy to be creative again. I was finally in the lane that I think I'm meant to be in. And I got to meet someone and work with someone like Eve Gordon.
Yeah.
Who was incredible,
Yeah.
who cut to now, got me a job, and, I work at AMDA with her. But it was just the most incredible time. It was very fast paced. It really taught me how fast the shoots are here, very quick. You just got to know your stuff. And it was so much fun. We had the best time.
Yay.
I loved it. I worked with Denai. She's so professional. Incredible. Kevin Carroll, and yeah, it was really, really great. And Taylor.
So cool. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Ah. So something that you've worked on recently is a short film that just went to Soho, yes?
Yes,
Brush?
it did.
So what was that film like?
That film was really a sort of diamond in the rough. I couldn't believe the response that it's had. We've got into 3 festivals so far. We premiered at Dances with Films here at the Chinese Grauman Theatre, which was amazing. And then we went to Outfest and then Soho International Film Festival. So I just went to New York not long ago. The film is so sweet. So sweet. Brush it's such I think a very beautiful film because it tells the story of a relationship from its inception to its, expulsion, shall we say, from the vantage point of a bathroom mirror.
Yeah, that's so creative. It's such a neat
Summer Svensson
take on it.
wrote it and directed it. And
I'm sorry, who?
Summer Svensson.
Okay.
And Kristen Gutowski and myself are in it, and we got to experience this beautiful relationship of meeting and going through the motions of what it's like to have a relationship, and see where it goes from there, but through that one vantage point. So it was just such an interesting project to work on. And I hadn't filmed anything since Ambulance, so it was such a delight to be able to work on that, and vastly different. No dialogue, extremely internal, very, it was all improv, really. She'd written scenes, but we had to sort of come up with what our relationship was from each moment. And so it was really fun.
What was the audition for that like?
I guess it was Ambulance.
Oh, okay. So this was an offer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was just going to say, what do you do for a self-tape when there's no dialogue and when it's just improv relationship with someone?
Yeah.
That's so good that your work is speaking for itself. That's such an incredible place to be, and it feels right.
It's really nice.
And it's your work that is getting you work.
Yeah. And it doesn't happen all the time.
No,
I can
of
guarantee
course.
you it doesn't, I didn't realize the challenge of having done something like Ambulance and sort of the auditions that I'd leveled up to. And it's challenging to crack it in there, know, because you're auditioning with huge people and big names with lots of fire behind them. So that's been challenging. But I'm super happy to be in that company, but it's like trying to get I guess more freedom within that would be lovely.
Yeah. Is it more the types of roles, or just like you're the new kid in that club?
I think I'm the new kid.
Yeah.
But the types of roles have been so much more varied.
Oh, good.
Which has been really amazing.
Good.
So hopefully, because it's 2023, almost 2024, we can continue moving in that way.
Yeah.
And I hope it's not as pointed as it has had to be.
Is there anything like that you'd love to see Hollywood moving towards as an industry? What comes to mind?
I recently saw Bottoms. I don't know if you saw that film.
I haven't seen it yet. I've heard such great things about it.
I was so pleasantly surprised.
Oh, good.
It was such an enjoyable film that the leads and the whole story is based around sapphic women, or sapphic humans, and but it wasn't really mentioned. It just was, and it was so delightful and so funny and so universal, and yet so niche. And I felt like, just like Barbie, it felt like a notch turn. Bottoms definitely feels like a notch turn in the right direction, and I'm really excited by that.
Good.
Because yes, I think it's wonderful that we've opened up our diversity, and also I'm sick of being a diversity hire.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be any,
You're an excellent actor. You should be hired because you're an excellent actor.
Thank you. That's kind of how I've always seen myself in every, not as an excellent actor, but it's just I've never looked at myself as a product in that way, as something that needs to be ticked off.
Yeah.
So it's been very challenging. It's been wonderful in a lot of ways, but also really challenging in others. And I say that in the whole spectrum, in terms of sexuality, preference, all of that, cultural background. I think inclusivity is very important to me, and also I'm an artist, and I like to have a bit of a blank canvas too. I want to be able to be seen in lots of different lights.
Right.
I know it's unrealistic to be seen in all of them. Not everybody can do everything.
Yeah.
But it would just be nice to keep a little bit of mystery.
Well, and I think we've talked about, how important inclusivity is and how we need to move there, but also we just want to be great storytellers telling stories about the human existence. And so it's more that when pieces of the human existence or people are excluded, that's a problem.
Absolutely.
But it doesn't need to be about that one facet always. It needs to be about the humans and the humanity as well. And so just finding that path forward it's exciting that it's starting to happen.
It is, and that's why watching something like Bottoms made me really excited. Watching Beef made me really excited. Everything Everywhere All at Once made me really excited.
That's my favorite movie.
Same. I just loved it so much.
Yeah.
There are things that are very exciting in our storytelling, and they're happening, and it's a really, I think it's a golden age. But we are also, what's the word? I think we can become slave to it too, which is a little dangerous. I know the pendulum has had to swing as hard as it has, and I'm very thankful for that. But it's also important that we find some equilibrium in it too. I think just seeing so many casting briefs, run across the table, or emails, or social media, when it's like, East Asian man, casting for blah, da, 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 and it just feels, I don't know why, it just feels like a bit of a meat market.
Yeah. Well, and you've talked about the moment where you realized your heritage was different than you thought, and all of a sudden you felt othered.
Absolutely.
And just imagining for me that kind of self-identity shifting in your life and having to see yourself through this weird frame that wasn't there before. And then everything after that is all of a sudden framed.
Yes, I'll never forget that moment. I never forget. We were told in second grade, I think I was 7, to where do we come from? Ask your parents. So I went home and I was like, Dad, where do we come from? And he said, oh, we're Sudanese. I said, what? He said, we're Sudanese, Dad. And all I heard was knees. It's like the whole world just sort of started to turn, and I immediately thought, knees. Oh, Chinese, Japanese, Vietnamese, which we have a huge population, beautiful population in Australia. And all I thought of was them being othered and bullied. And I went, oh my God, I'm in that. I'm different. I didn't know. I just was a 7-year-old.
Right.
I had no idea that it was other.
Which would be great, right? If we all just were 7-year-olds.
And I think that's what I'm yearning for,
Yeah.
is to go back to that place
Yeah.
of purity and innocence, of not ever thinking or knowing
Yeah.
that there isn't a sense of other.
Yeah.
But I guess there is also the superhero cape of feeling other too.
Yeah. And it's interesting because you come from a place of not knowing or identifying with that in a strong way, whereas someone else might be coming from a place of like having a strong cultural heritage that was pushed down or being bullied for it or something. So
Absolutely.
I don't know. I think it's important to have the conversations about it, but I'm glad we're starting to make art and starting to
this is where,
open it up.
Jess, you're so right, and this is why it sits in a funny place with me, because of that otherness, I was not allowed into the room, and so now it's only because of my otherness that they're trying to open the door, that they're asking you to come in.
Yeah.
So something feels dirty about it.
Yeah. When you're there because you're meant to be there, because your spirit says, I belong here.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's just it's an interesting place.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're in the room.
Thanks, Jess. I am too.
So, from that, what challenge do you have for my audience as a creator's challenge?
As a creator's challenge.
Something that they could do with whatever they've got at home in 10 minutes or less. What could they do
Okay.
that...
I, believe it or not, was really shy in school to read, which is very ironic. My mum was an English teacher before she had 5 children with my dad. And I was very shy to read out loud. And I remember coming to my acting school, my drama school audition, and that was the final gauntlet. We just had to pick up this big book that was on the desk, open any page and read out loud. I opened it and I was abysmal. I was so bad. And they said, okay, here's the thing. We want to offer you a place, but you've got to get your cold reading up. And they said, it's just like a muscle. So just open any piece of text. It could be a magazine if you like, whatever it is, when magazines were in vogue, pun noted.
Yeah.
And just read it out loud to yourself. And I swear, Jess, I've done that. I did that. And I got so confident. I got to the point where I was called in to step in for an actor that had to have microsurgery on their finger. And I cold read a matinee performance.
Wow.
I'd not seen the show.
Wow.
I could confidently do that. So it's so different to read internally as we do. So as a skill, just to pick up a piece of text and read it out loud to yourself, hearing it,
Yeah.
and hearing your interpretation is I think a really beautiful thing to do.
I think that's so great. So the creator's challenge is to cold read something. Pick it up, read it out loud.
Yeah, anything, something you've never, any piece of writing you've never seen before.
I love it. Great. Where can people find you?
People can find me at a coffee shop, probably.
Me too. Let's be real. And I'll have it in the show notes too. But if there's like one place that's the best.
I really have Instagram. That's it. That's what I do. I'm not on TikTok. I'm not on. I do have Facebook, but it's pretty much just really only there just for marketplace and some other things. Terrible. But yeah, I'm on Instagram, Olivia Stambouliah.
Okay, perfect. And Anything else? Any asks from my audience or anything that you didn't think to say that you'd like to touch on?
Oh, I think we're all creative in some way, and it doesn't have to have a monetized outcome. And I think every day that is a big challenge, and I grapple with that, you know, especially through this strike. And it's been such a moment of pause to go, oh, so as an artist, what am I? Who am I? But we're all we can create. I mean, if you're somebody that actually has kept plants alive, you're creative. You're taking a second to care for something in a creative way and watch its bloom, its blossom. So I think taking the stress of the monetization is good. And I said this to my students yesterday, actually. They're about to graduate. I said to them that art should be uncomfortable, but it should be safe.
Oh, that's so great. That's exactly where it needs to lie.
Uncomfortable, but safe.
Kind of like lifting heavy, which we both like to do.
Absolutely. That's exactly right. You're not going to...
if you're going to deadlift,
if you are
it shouldn't be comfy.
It shouldn't
but
be
it has to be safe.
It has to be safe. And I really feel like that's kind of me.
I love it. Oh. Well, thank you so much.
Thanks.
You're the best to talk to. Cheers.
You are. You're so warm and so inviting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Join the community and share your creative challenges on Instagram and Facebook at Creators Cafe by Kika Labs. And also check out my website, kikalabs.com, KIKALABS.com, to sign up for the mailing list so you always know when a new podcast is released, and to check out my coaching and digital courses to help you be a more confident and joyful creator.